Hey guys, it's your girl Shadow. So, on the internet, it's been kind of floating around, and everybody's been kind of ranking their MCU movies, the past 18 films, including Black Panther. So I decided I'm gonna go ahead and do me a little short vid, just pretty much listing me ranking the 18 MCU films. Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is since 2008 when Iron Man launched on to now, up to Black Panther, of course. So a few things I want to talk about. This is my favorites list. And a lot of people get it mixed up because my favorite movies don't necessarily mean I think they are the best films. Like what movie I think is the top MCU movie that they've done to date might not translate to what I feel is my favorite. So just keep in mind, these are my favorite, my top 18 from the least favorite to my top favorite. And just keep in mind, the least favorite is pretty much, well, let me just say this. I go off of what's my favorite based on what I can rewatch over and over and over again. And I feel like I get something new from that movie every time. So I can rewatch my top 5 over and over and over and over and over again. And then in the middle, it kind of depends on my mood. And then the last kind of 3 is like, I don't care if I ever see them again. If I see them, it's cool, whatever, but I'm not going to go out my way to watch them. Or they just did nothing for me as far as when I watched them. So, all right, so here we go. All right, so number 18, I got my list here. So y'all going to be seeing me look down because trying to do this from by heart is too many movies now for me to try to do by heart. And I'm not set up. I'm just pretty much holding up recording. So my least favorite, number 18, is the 2008 Incredible Hulk. Hated it. I just don't see Ed Norton. He's a great actor, don't get me wrong, but Ed Norton is the movie just dragged for me, and it was pretty much boring up until the fight that he had with Abomination, up until the actual action scenes. And if you know me, action, it only brings a little bit to me versus the story itself. And I didn't get excited until the damn end credits in that movie when Iron Man showed up, when Tony Stark showed up. So, yeah, that movie did nothing for me. 18, Incredible Hulk, 2008. If I ever see it again, I don't care. Number 17, Thor, The Dark World. It kind of tone-wise, it fit the title. However, it was a lot of plot holes in there, and I fell asleep. I couldn't get through the movie. I kept falling asleep on it, and I did not rush out to the theaters. I was not a big fan of the Thor franchise at all. So I waited until it was out of theaters, and I went and saw it, and I literally kept falling asleep on it. So I really don't like that movie. I even tried to rewatch it just to see if I can maybe draw from it differently, since Thor Ragnarok kind of was a little bit better, but it didn't help. 16, Thor. They're right back to back. Thor I liked a little bit better than I did The Dark World, but I just did not like Thor really being on Earth. That just didn't ride with me. And then the whole story, the only thing I liked, it was, he was different. So, the Earth people, humans, saw him a little differently, and he was awkward. But other than that, I really didn't care for the story. And I didn't care for the action either in that movie. I just didn't I just didn't care about it at all. So, Thor, number 16. 15, Captain America First Avenger. Now, I thought this movie actually would move up a little bit, but as I thought about it, um, it just stays at number in the bottom 5 for me for some reason. I think with the first Captain America, because it was like a period piece, I just only cared about just little parts of it, just piecing it together for the MCU itself, just to kind of try to like Captain America. And I think that's what it is. It's just because Captain America at the time just was not one of my favorite characters, and it was just hard for me to get into it. I might have to go back and watch this, guys, to get a better appreciation for that first Avenger, because he is the first Avenger. But it kind of it was a filler movie, and a great introduction to Captain America, but I just didn't care about his character at that time, so I think that's why it's so at the bottom. 14, Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is at the bottom, even the bottom what is it, 5 here, and that's just because it kind of dragged for me. It kind of went in a different direction than I thought it did. It was the introduction of Black Widow. However, I think it threw me off once they recasted War Machine. I think that's where I kind of, and then the villain. The villains in there were it just didn't really. I can literally skip over Iron Man 2, to be honest with you. If I out of the 3, I can probably watch this one last, even though it's out of chronological order. 13, Avengers Age of Ultron. This is at the bottom just because it wasn't as good as any of the other Avenger movie. It just did not, kill it for me. The whole Ultron part was off, and it, I didn't care for the Ultron villain. But I have a better appreciation of it. It was kind of lower at first, and I kind of bumped it up. I think it was between Iron Man 2, Avengers Age of Ultron. I like a little bit better than I do Iron Man 2. 12 is Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok was funny, and I like humor. I have no problem with a funny movie. Just because it's superhero does not mean it does not need to have that comedic factor. They were risky. They had balls. They took a risk. And really, to be honest with you, I love the dynamic between him and Hulk. I like all the side characters in the movie, and it was just a fun movie. And I just enjoyed it, and I can rewatch it again. Not maybe over and over and over and over and over again, but I can definitely rewatch Ragnarok. Number 11, Doctor Strange. I actually like Doctor Strange better than I do Thor Ragnarok, and I kind of surprised myself because I didn't think I would. I thought his movie was going to be a little boring, but I actually enjoyed the visual just killing in that movie, and his backstory was actually pretty good. Yeah, and he's an asshole, and if you know me, I like asshole characters. I just do. I just like those characters that just got that, asshole charisma about themselves, and Doctor Strange does that. I wasn't too fond of the villain in there. I think he could have been utilized a little bit more, but I do appreciate them. It was a different movie. It was something new and different that was introduced in the MCU. Now we get to our top 10. All right. 10, Guardian of the Galaxy 2. I'm sorry. I appreciated Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Baby Groot was one of my favorite. I like the soundtrack. I like the space part of it. I'm a really big in love with these space characters. It was funny. It had some dynamics to it. It actually killed off a character. I didn't think it would do that, but when they killed off Yondu, it kind of touched me a little bit. It had that father-son dynamic to it. It had a good story, and that's what I look for in my movies. I look for a good story, and to take a franchise of characters that I gave zero fucks about 10 years ago and make me actually appreciate every single character. I even like the Mantis character. And she's not really all that, but I like her character. So that came at number 10. Number 9, and I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. Number 9, Iron Man 3. I'm sorry, y'all. I rewatched this again within the last month, and I am okay. I am okay with Iron Man 3. I like seeing Tony interact with the little boy. I liked the story. I liked that they were unpeeling the Tony Stark. We got more Tony Stark than we did actual Iron Man, and I'm okay with that because we got Iron Man in the other 2 movies, and we got him in the Avengers. And wait, did this come out? Iron Man came out before Avengers? I don't remember, but anyway. But, we got Iron Man. I wanted to see more of Tony. And Tony was a lot in there. The dynamics between him and Pepper being, going through their issues. Him and his PSTD issues. Some drinking problems. And just the whole ordeal of him in that relationship with that little boy was touching. Now, the Mandarin part was a shocker. But I literally laughed. I'm a humor person. I take humor over anything. It fits the narrative, and I'm sorry, the Mandarin thing did not disappoint me. I did not give a damn that he wasn't this badass character. I didn't care. I laughed. I thought it was I don't know who directed Iron Man 3, but whoever directed it, I don't know if it was Josh Whedon or whatever, but whoever did it, and they decided to go against making the Mandarin who he was pretty balls. That was some balls. And regardless if we liked it or not, the movie made money. Number 8, SpiderMan Homecoming. I appreciated that we finally got Spider-Man in the MCU. I like that we did not get the same story told over and over and over again. I love the villain and the twist that the villain was actually his little crushes, his dates, father. And I'm like, oh, snap. So, I like that Peter Parker was able to be a kid and see the best parts about, being introduced to a Peter Parker is to get him when he was in high school, to get him when he's struggling being a superhero and actually being a kid. And they really did a great job with that. So, thumbs up to SpiderMan Homecoming. 7, AntMan. I was having a discussion with one of my followers on Twitter, and they was like, how is AntMan in your top tier? You got a lot of movies in your top tier. Well, yeah, my tiers is a little bit different, and they're not evened out. I have a top tier that's like 8 movies, because I can't. They're just movies. Out of 18 films, there's between 1 to 8 movies that I just love. But I think it's the top 7. AntMan is definitely one of those movies I can watch over and over and over and over again. He's one of those characters that was really D-list characters that I did not care about. I've seen a couple of the cartoons. I probably read maybe a few of the comic books, only if it was maybe him being with other characters teamed up. However, Paul Rudd, I like Paul Rudd, you guys. I had to see it, and it just really blew me away. And I took my kids to see it, and they was like, "We don't want to see no Ant-Man." I was like, "No, let's go see it." And my kids freaking loved it. That's still today one of their favorites. And Ant-Man just did that for me. It had a lot of charisma in it. It had, I don't, the villain I didn't care about. I just cared about the story, and the story made sense, and I just enjoyed that film from the beginning to the end. All right, number 6. Number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those movies that I was like really iffy about. I was like, what is Marvel doing? Who is these characters? I don't care about no damn talking raccoon and no big ass ugly tree and this green bitch. I was like, who are these characters? And I was like, let me go do some research. And I went and researched, and I said, oh, okay, I do remember seeing these characters before in the comic books, but I never really got into them, and I never read it. But the movie blew me away. Oh my, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one I can watch over and over and over and over again. I just like the embodiment of it. I like that James Gunn was able to take us to space and show us kind of this space opera type movie. It was different. It just really just brought us into another dynamic of what the space cosmic entities of the MCU was all about. And I can rewatch it over and over and over and over again. Now we get to our top 5. The top 5. I believe the top 5 is almost in about 85% of everybody's top 5 MCU. And I might can be wrong with one of them. But mostly, I think my top 5 is somewhere in y'all's top 5, if not in y'all top 10. But here we go. And just remember that my top 5 is my favorite. It means I can rewatch these movies over and over again. They did something to me when I watched them. They changed the game in some kind of way within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's what I mean by them being my favorites, okay? Number 5, Captain America Winter Soldier. I know. That's probably low for some of you guys. But remember, I'm not saying that my top 4 movies is a better movie than Winter Soldier. I'm saying it is my 5th favorite. And I'm talking about ones I could rewatch over and over and over again. One that did something to me when I watched the movie. Ones that I feel like that changed the game. I do feel like Winter Soldier changed the game. It gave us more of a serious tone. It was more of a thriller. And it was more of a more darker tone than we had seen before. And action-wise, I actually cared about the action in this movie, but it fit the storyline perfectly. For the story, we needed the action. And that definitely resonates with me, with it being a top 5. Like I said, remember what I'm saying. It does not mean it's not the best movie of the MCU. It means it shadows 5th favorite of the MCU. There's a difference. 4, The Avengers. Which is crazy because The Avengers was top 3 for me. But another movie came out and took its spot. But I can still watch The Avengers. It changed the game. It's the first one of our first team up that we had in the MCU. And it brought all these characters together. It was a great story. It had some great lines. It had some great dialogue. We saw good character development that was also included into this film. And I just love the Avengers. And right now it's it's the number 1 all-time comic book movie as far as grossing box wise. But it looks like my number 3 movie about to take its spot. Number 3, Black Panther. The Black Panther is high up there, and I kind of had a feeling it was going to be at least in my top 5, but I didn't think it was going to I didn't think it was gonna dethrone the Avengers as my third favorite movie of the MCU. I did not think it would do that, but it did it. And it did it big time. I went and seen this movie 4 times, you guys. And I'm probably going to see it a 5th time if it's still in theaters close to when the Avengers Infinity War comes out. But this movie did everything for me culturally, spiritually, mentally. It gave me everything that I wanted in a film. It wasn't big on the action. Like a lot of people probably wanted it, but I was okay because the story was just that great. It was beautiful. The world building alone, the side characters were just as important to me as the main character. And that is hard to do. That is hard to pull off, and I just have to respect it. So Black Panther is my 3rd movie. I know I can watch this movie over and over and over and over and over again. Even once it leaves the theaters, I definitely know I'm going to watch it 100 times. Number 2, Captain America Civil War. And Civil War and Winter Soldier at one point was kind of neck and neck. And then I was like, well, which one do I like better? And when I rewatched them back to back, I realized that I like Civil War better. And the reason why, introductions of new characters. I think that's what did it for me. And the best action scenes in a comic book movie came from Civil War. And that is the airport scene, even the tunnel scene, and even the the 3rd act scene between Iron Man, Captain America, and Winter Soldier. The Russo brothers just did it with the action scenes. And I don't really care about action scenes. But this movie, because of its introduction into the new characters, because of what the story was about, the action was definitely important. And it's one of those stories where the action needs to live up to the story. And it did that. It did that. And I can watch Civil War. I think out of all the movies, other than my number 1, all the movies, I've actually watched this the most. Think about that. My number 1, y'all probably know. My number 1 is Iron Man, you guys. 2008 Iron Man. It is the birth of the MCU. It is what started this. And I just can't dethrone this as my favorite movie because literally I've watched this movie probably 150 times. I might know it by heart, scene by scene. There's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of hints moving forward in the story. I know the backstory of how Robert Downey Jr. got casted in this role. It was one of the best things ever once he was announced as playing Iron Man. And I said, you know what? He's going to kill it. He's going to do this. He's going to kill that role. And people laughed at me like, oh, no, Iron Man. They got Robert Downey Jr. Wow, that's interesting. It's going to be, people thought this was going to fail, you guys. And it birthed. People do not respect that movie. I do. I respect that movie. I respect Jon Favreau. I respect RDJ. Even though he's cocky, he got a little cocky once he did. But, we got to understand from a business point of view why he got a little cocky. So, I kind of brushed that to the side. But we got to respect what began. It's like, I respect what began this MCU, and I'm never going to forget that. I'm never going to forget the feeling I had when I left the theaters and saw this movie. I'm never going to forget hearing people talk about what's next or what is to become next, and just seeing that this movie did well for a genre that get laughed at. People like, ha ha ha, these movies are stupid, and being a nerd was cool now. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why Iron Man is my number 1. and it probably won't get dethroned as number one because no other movie can do what it did, and that's start this universe. So, anyway, tell me what you guys think about my list, my top 18. We're going to go real quick down the list. 18, The Incredible Hulk. 17, Thor, The Dark World. 16, Thor. 15, Captain America, First Avenger. 14, Iron Man 2. 13, Avengers Age of Ultron. 12, Thor Ragnarok. 11, Doctor Strange. 10, Guardian of the Galaxy 2, Volume 2. 9, Iron Man 3. 8, SpiderMan Homecoming. 7, AntMan. 6, Guardians of the Galaxy. 5, Captain America Winter Soldier. 4, The Avengers. 3, Black Panther. 2, Captain America Civil War. 1, Iron Man. All right. If y'all got a problem, or put down, or if you got, put some comments down there, you guys. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 150 subscribers. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with my list? What is your top 18 list? Put it in the comments. Let me see. I want to talk to you guys and interact on here. So hit me up. Until next time, I'll talk to you later. This is your girl Shadow, and I'm out.